Hello, good morning. In this video, we will look at the economic articles of the June 2021 compilation. The first article with regard to the RBI Annual Report 2021. What this report all says, what are the monetary related, financial related things happen in the country in a year in a some sequenced manner. All these things are represented here. What are the key points of this report? Firstly, foreign exchange transactions in India has gained and risen from 29,993 crore to 50,629 crore in the financial year of 2020 to 21. That is almost a 20% rise. Next thing, RBI has been able to transfer higher amounts of money to the government as a surplus to boost the government's finances. And third thing is rupee has strengthened by 3.5% against the US dollar. But it underperformed with compared to the other Asian countries during the 2020 and 21 financial year. That means with respect to the growth of the US dollar, Indian rupee has grown more than 3.5%. Although the relative value is low, the growth is more. And coming to the other thing, decreased bank frauds has been seen with respect to the NPAs and all these things. A number of cases saw a visible decline of 15% during the year. 15% decline of the bank frauds. And coming to the digital payments, COVID-19 pandemic increased the proliferation of the digital modes of payment. That means increasing in the digital mode of payments, and various initiatives such as Innovation Hub, regulatory sandbox, and offline payment solutions are underway that ensure the digital ecosystem and maintains the India as a position as a leader of the digital economy. This is the thing. And coming to the RBI is also in the process of extending geotagging framework. What is this geotagging framework means? Capturing the location of all bank branches and ATMs located to cover the payment system touch points, so that it enables the accurate capture of the location across the country of their branches and ATMs. This is the somewhat geotagging framework. And when coming to the ensuring of the liquidity, with respect to the liquidity ensuring, it exemplified by the introduction of the secondary market GSAPs. Liquidity exemplified by the introduction of the secondary GSEC acquisition program. That means RBI has been introducing secondary market government securities. That way, due to the availability of the bond market stability, the people are buying the government securities. That's why they will push away the money into the market. That's why the money has been coming to the market. This is the thing. And monetary transmission will continue unimpeded while maintaining the financial stability. Maintaining the financial stability, monetary transmission has been continued. What is the monetary transmission means? Monetary transmission is a process by which a central bank's monetary policy signals are passed on through financial system. For example, by imposing certain repo rates, certain interest rates, the financial system will get influenced by the actions of the central bank. This is called monetary transmission. For example, you are putting certain repo rate as a below as something and interest rate as below as something. When interest rate decreased, people are more interested in taking the loans. That's why it will increase the demand in the market. This is the thing. And thereby influencing the business and other households. Vaccination drive pickups and cases of the infection fall. This is with respect to the 2020 and 21 not 21 and 22, because second wave occur in the end of the financial year. That's why this report not cover the second wave of the COVID-19. RBI predicted 10.5% GDP growth for the year of 2021 and 22. Actually, it has been contracted, not grown anything due to the second wave. Just prediction only, RBI report. Coming to the rise FDI, rise in the FDI inflow. FDI is nothing but foreign direct investment coming into the India. More than 10%, it is called to be the FDI. If less than 10%, it is said to be the FPA or FIA, foreign portfolio investment. This is the foreign direct investment. That means you are indirectly investing in some country for the profits. You are directly investing by taking the risk in that country. That is said to be the foreign direct investment. Total FDI inflow in the 2020 and 21 as is at the mark of $81.7 billion. Remember this thing? Total FDI inflow in the financial year of 2020 and 21 is $81.7 billion. It is 10% more than the previous year. This is a 10% growth in the FDI inflow. When we see in the financial year of 2018 and 19, the FDI investment in India is $62 billion. And in financial year 2019 and 20, the FDI is $74.4 billion. Here from 2019, 18-19 to 19-20, 10% increase in the FDI. Whereas with respect to the this financial year growth, this financial year growth is decreased by 10% with compared to the previous year. It is only 81.7 billion. With compared to the previous year's total sum, it has increased. But with respect to the growth rate, it has decreased by 10%. That means because of different COVID issues or with respect to the instability in the border regions of the India due to the Chinese aggression and all these things, maybe. And some of the note, this report is according to the Ministry of the Commerce Industry press release statement. And gross inflow $81.7 billion, which consists of equity inflow of $60 billion and reinvested earnings of $21.7 billion. That means $21.7 billion is reinvested earnings, whereas $60 billion is the equity inflow into the India. This is the thing. And out of 81.7 billion foreign inflow, 27 billion earning sent or repatriated abroad. Total of this $81.7 billion, $27 billion has been sent to the abroad. That is somewhat a repatriated amount. And a characteristic feature of the foreign capital inflow in the 2020 and 2021 is a sizable repatriation of the long-term FDI capital and a large inflow of the speculative FDI, speculative capital. FPI has been increased in the financial year of 2020 and 21, and a sizable repatriation of the long-term FDI capital has been seen. This is the characteristic of the foreign capital inflow in this financial year. And three Reliance Group companies like as Jio, Reliance Retail Venture, and Reliance BP Mobility getting more than 50% of the FDI. Majority of the FDI comes through the indirect acquisition of the shares held by the Reliance Industries without creating any productive asset. No productive asset at all, only indirect acquisition of the shares has been acquired as FDIs through the Reliance Industries. Majority of the FDI in the service sector has been seen, and very less non-acquisition can be seen in the manufacturing sector. The growth of the manufacturing sector is under the expected levels. The highest foreign direct investments coming to the India is from the Singapore, and maximum FDI is received by the state of Gujarat. This is the state of the FDI in 2020 and 21. Global minimum corporate tax. This is somewhat a new concept, came with the meeting of the G7 summit occurred in the June. Recently, finance ministers of the G7 countries reached a landmark accord setting up of the GMCTR at least 15%, that is global minimum corporate tax rate, at least 15%, not below 15%. The floor rate is 15%. It will now discussing in detail at a meeting of the G20 financial ministers and central bank governors in the July 2021. This is underway. And coming to the global minimum corporate tax, it is a tax regime established by the international agreement where countries adhering to the government, adhering to this agreement would impose a specific minimum tax rate on the income of the corporations subject to the respective jurisdiction of the tax laws. Each country would entitle to the revenue generated by this tax. What is the tax all about is, for example, in your country, the tax rate is more than 30%. Consider it is India, more than 30%, no company is coming in. For example, there are many tax havens such as Luxembourg, all these things are offering tax rates of below 5%. Then all FDIs will register at the Luxembourg or so and so, pay only below 5% tax rate, and they will operate in India also, but they show their registration as Luxembourg, thereby lose away our tax benefits. In such a manner, to resolve these issues, this concept of global minimum corporate tax has been proposed. Thereby, a minimum of 50% tax rate is there. Then these companies can move towards different areas. That's why a minimum floor rate will be set up to avoid all these things, and measures will be put in place to ensure taxes paid in the countries where business will operate. The place of operation also will collect the taxes, not only place of registration. In such a manner, the measures are going to be taken place for this purpose. It would apply to the company's overseas profits also. For example, if countries agrees on a global minimum tax rate, government could still could set the whatever local corporate rate they want, and GMCTR will be the floor rate. This global minimum tax rate will be the floor rate, and the governments will set whatever the tax rate they want, not below this GMCTR. Why this is in lead means due to reduced tax laws. Already we discussed about the tax haven countries, all these concepts. And according to the UK-based Tax Justice Network, India's annual tax loss due to the corporate tax abuse is US dollars 10 billion. US Treasury loses $50 billion a year on the tax cheat, according to a Tax Justice New York report. And it will bring uniformity in the corporate taxation worldwide. What are the international efforts regarding in this effort is overseeing tax talks are under process in OECD. 140 countries has been overseen by the OECD to curb the tax base erosion through by showing this registration somewhere and earning the profit somewhere as a shell companies. Through the implementation of an action plan called base erosion and profit shifting. Base erosion means you are having base somewhere and shifting the profit somewhere. This is the concept of the base erosion, profit shifting, and getting all nations and agreeing on the one rate. What is the challenges involved here? Getting one rate for all nations is a some complex matter because some countries having less tax rates and thereby increasing their FDIs. For such nations, it is a big issue. Policy issues, including global minimum rate, would essentially take away a tool that countries use to push the policies to suit them. Some of the countries having some policies in order to increase their incomes, that policies will took away by this so-called global minimum corporate tax. And coming to the what is the impact on India, taxation is ultimately a sovereign function. That means a country can regulate it upon the needs and circumstances of that particular nation. The government is open to participate and engage in emerging discussions globally around the corporate tax structure. This is the thing, first one. India is likely to benefit from the global minimum corporate tax of 15% floor rate, because effective domestic tax rate in India is more than that threshold 15%. We generally correct more than 22%, that much. That's why it doesn't get affect any impact on India, but it will benefit rather in India. And it will continue attract investment. In September 2019, government reduced corporate tax to 22% for the companies that give up all exemptions and incentives. Companies which give up exemptions and incentives, they will get 22% tax rate. And further 15% offered to the new manufacturing firms coming to the India. An effective tax rate inclusive of surcharges and cess for the Indian domestic companies is around 25 to 17%. For the Indian companies, the tax rate is 25 to 17%. And coming to the digital services tax, this tax is under somewhat a issue because of the US government says that it's suspended a punitive tariffs for 6 months on countries including India, Austria, Italy, Spain, Turkey, and the UK to resolve the digital service tax investigation going on in the OECD. What the issue here means, major digital services have been based in USA, including the Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, all these things. On these digital services, all these countries are paying, imposing taxes. That is the digital service tax. US alleged that these countries are imposing more tax rate on the US companies. This is the issue. Generally, digital service tax is a levy on overall revenues earned by the supplier of a specific digital service. Particular digital service earning some profits. On that profit, a percent of DST can be imposed, have to be paid by that digital service provider. This Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple tax is proposed to be a digital tax to be levied on the large technology and internet companies. This is a informal name of this company. DST in India. Coming to the digital service tax in India, government have moved an amendment in the financial bill 2020 and 21 imposing a 2% of the digital service tax on trade and services by the non-resident e-commerce operators with a turnover more than 2 crore. The companies which is having turnover of more than 2 crore, foreign companies, on them 2% digital service tax will be imposed. The new levy will expand the ambit of the equalization levy on the non-resident e-commerce operators involved in the supply of services, online sale of goods, and provisions of the different services. And e-commerce operators are obligated to pay this tax at the end of each quarter. This is the rule in India. The USTR indicate that a value of the DST payable by US-based companies in India will be up to the approximately $55 million per year. US companies paying a DST of $55 million per year in India. This is the estimate. US has conducted an investigation and it determined the digital service taxes adopted by various countries, including these all countries, discriminated against the US digital companies, which were inconsistent with the principle of international taxation. This is the allegation of the US. These countries are imposing taxes away from the principles of international taxation. That's why burdening the US companies, saying the US. Why we need a digital service tax in India? Uh, the agenda to reform international tax laws with respect to the digital companies to be taxed are under still progress. There is, for example, if a new law comes, there is a worry that they may cede their right to tax incomes of different countries by showing base in somewhere and registration somewhere and companies at somewhere. By this fear, the various countries proposed their own law of digital service tax. This is the issue. The proliferation of this tax is a symptom of the changing international economic order. Countries such as India provide large markets for the digital corporation, seeking a greater rate of the tax incomes. Taxations on the digitalized economy turned out to be relatively contentious issue because of huge asymmetrical in the digital service providers and consumers. Uh, Due to this asymmetry of consumers somewhere and providers somewhere, it is become a major issue. And second one is, final one is the Inland Vessel Bill 2021. This bill approved by the Union Cabinet, it will replace the Inland Vessel Act of 1970. It is a unified law on the entire country instead of separate laws framed by the states. One law, one country. The certificate of registration granted under the proposal law will deemed to be valid in all states and union territories. Under this law, a certificate of registration granted by the central government. That's enough. No need to separate permission from the states. The bill also provides for a central database creation for recording of the details regarding the vessel registration and crew on the electronic portal. Uh, all non-mechanical proposed vessels would have to be enrolled at the different district, taluk, panchayat and the village levels. This is the data related something, and it enlarges the inland water definition, including some tighter water limits and national waterways, which are declared by the central government. It also deals with the pollution control measures on the inland vessels. This bill directs the central government to designate a list of chemicals and substances as the pollutants. This is all about the Inland Vessels Bill 2021. These all about the economy articles of the June 2021 comparison. That's all. Thank you.